If there's a person that has the mandate of heaven, it's Kamala Harris. All of a sudden, she's at the top of the ticket. Then she gets a literal, almost once in a lifetime VP pick built in a lab, so organically perfect for the Midwest. She has an insanely solid ticket here. Anyway, Walz is speaking right now, so we'll take a look at the rally, and we'll get back to the Kai situation after that.
A couple of them are Badgers too, by the way. So
he sounds like Keizo.
And a real special thank you to everybody here. Looking out across here, look, you're busy people. You got things to do. It's a summer day. You had to walk 2 miles.
Yeah, but you ain't Bill Maher, big dog. When he said those things, he was already on TV, not on Twitch stream. Yeah, no, you're misunderstanding. People have the tendency to overlook all of those things because it's a calculated risk. If I was raking in 100K stream, 100K viewers every stream, and was like relatively neutral or was like super pro Kamala, I would have that interview locked down already.
You know it. Vice President Harris is on the side of the American people. She took on predators, fraudsters, transnational gang members. She stood up against powerful corporate interests, and she never hesitated, not once, to reach across the aisle if it improved people's lives. Being a Midwesterner too, I know a little something about commitment to people. I was born in a small town in Nebraska where community meant everything. My mom and dad taught me to show generosity to my neighbors and work for a common good. At 17, I joined the Army National Guard. For 24 years, I proudly wore the uniform of this nation. And that service, just as it did for my dad, a Korean War veteran, and millions of others, I got the GI Bill and it gave me a shot at a college education. My dad was a teacher. My siblings were all teachers. And 3 of them married teachers. It's noble work. I had the privilege of teaching public school, social studies, and coaching football for 20 years. And for all you Packer and Badgers fans, yeah, we did win a state championship. So it's what we do. But it was my students who encouraged me to run for office. I never thought that much about it, but they saw in me what I was hoping to instill in them. This idea of a commitment to a better world, a common good, a belief that one single person can actually make a difference. I lived in a red district, but my neighbors were kind enough and graced me with the opportunity to go to the United States House of Representatives for 12 years to represent them. I learned how to compromise without compromising my values. And as governor of the great state of Minnesota, I brought all that experience. Okay. Are there Minnesotans in the house today?
MU law poll in Wisconsin, Trump 50, Harris 49. Among registered voters, Harris 50, Trump 49 likely voters.
Donald Trump,
had Biden remained the candidate, it would have looked Trump 47, Biden 42, by the way.
He has no understanding.
And the multi-candidate race looks even better for Harris at 45 to 43.
Again and again and again. Again and again and again. This guy weakens our country to strengthen his own hands. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division amongst the people. And that's to say nothing of the job he did as president. He froze in the face of COVID, and it cost people's lives. He drove the economy into the ground. And make no mistake about it, violent crime was up when Donald Trump was president.
Does Walz Harris running this exact same speech every
Those
day
of
work
you who are a
worse in an
little
online
older know
world?
this.
No, dude. What are you talking
Older
about?
Republicans
Have you ever
used
seen
to
a
talk about
comedian?
freedom.
What do you think? You
These
watch the
guys
Netflix
today,
special,
it turns
but
out
that's
that freedom
the
to
same
them
exact
means
speech
government should
that
be
they
free and
repeat a
fair.
million times over in front of different crowds, and they tune it up a little bit. It's a stump speech.
Now, look, we're pretty neighborly with Wisconsin. We get our friendly battles, but in Minnesota, just like in Wisconsin, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choices for ourselves, because we know there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Mind your own damn business.
Great way to argue against the trans stuff, dude. Great way to argue against that.
I don't need you telling me about our health care. I don't need you telling us who we love. And I sure the hell don't need you telling us what books we're going to read.
It's so good. Americans are keyed in. Americans are keyed into freedom, okay? They love fairness and they love freedom. That's why the trans panic around like sports was so effective.
For my wife and I. When
This
Gwen
is
and
the
I
perfect
decided to have
counter.
children, we went through years of fertility treatments. And I remember each night praying that the call was going to come and it was going to be good news. The phone would ring, tenseness in my stomach, and then the agony when you heard the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our first child, our beautiful daughter, we named her Hope. When Vice
Love
President
the idea or
Harris
the concept
and
of
I,
freedom,
and
maybe, except when it
everyone
comes to
here
foreign
talks
policy,
about
no one ever
freedom,
acknowledges.
we mean the freedom
Dude,
to make your own
Dude,
health
you're not
decisions.
making a brilliant point, okay? It's not a bold, brilliant point of analysis to say that. No, Americans are selfish and they don't know anything about foreign policy, or they just don't care.
Worrying about being shot dead in their classroom.
We're talking about like domestic policy.
And just like Wisconsin, over in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws. And just so you know, when I was in Congress, I was the top gun at the trap shoot 3 years in a row. I can outshoot them too. I can outshoot these guys. Look, freedom is when freedom. Oh, can we get somebody to help? Somebody's hot. Somebody's hot. Can we get somebody to help?
Damn.
You okay? Drink some water, folks. It is hot out. Get somebody else.
Travis Scott would never. Jesus Christ.
Thank you. We get water. They're so weird. They're so weird. You okay? Thank you all for helping. Grateful. Thank you. Thank you all. Take care of one another on this. This is why we gather. Look, it's hot. It is hot. I'll come again. They've got folks here. We'll make sure we're okay. But I have to tell you all again, in all seriousness, to come and gather like this, to talk about our freedoms, the ability to talk about what could be good. And I have to say, this idea of caring for our neighbor and kindness and a hand up when somebody needs it, or just the sense of that people go through things and to be able to be there when they need it, that's who we are. It's not about mocking. It's not name callings. And you see it amongst them.
Three hours until Harris and Walz are set to appear in Eau Claire. This is the line to get to. This is the line of cars to get to the rally, 1.5 miles away. That's crazy. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Thank you all. We're okay. We have someone down. They're treating him. They're getting him some water, and it's good. He's gonna get up. You guys need some water.
The Lib
too?
Hodge, yeah, there is the Mecca.
We'll ask them. Teddy, can you see if they have some more water? That'd be great. Take care of your neighbors.
Do you think they'll get worried about Kamala being overshadowed? Are you kidding me? No. I think Kamala just wants to win, baby. She, in some ways, she's literally a blank sheet of paper, okay? She has always been like very malleable, and this is honestly something that I was very afraid of. This is something that I'm very afraid of. I was very afraid of her being like very malleable. I was worried that like the billionaire donors were going to influence her decisions, but it does seem to me like they're pretty locked in on the labor front. And as a blank canvas, she does not have like any ambitions or any big, I would say, chaotic personality flaws in the same way that like Biden very clearly had him. Hillary Clinton very clearly had him. Tim Kaine was a perfect pick to demonstrate that reality. I would go so far as to say that Joe Biden's pick with Kamala Harris was a demonstration of that. Donald Trump obviously is also another big personality who is always very afraid of like being outshined by his own VP, which is why he went with JD Vance.
Back to the White House, it will be far worse than it was 4 years ago.
Kamala Harris is a blank
for
slate.
The middle class, repealing the Affordable Care Act, gutting Social Security and Medicare, the very safety nets that protect people when they're down.
I wouldn't say
and of
labor.
Course,
no,
banning abortions across
no, you're
this
wrong.
Country.
The Kamala campaign is tuned in to the labor frequency 1,000%. Are you kidding me? She went with Tim Walz. Why do you think that decision happened? If you think that they're not actually locked in on all fronts on whatever labor is saying, you're wrong. Okay. Sean Fain went on television and was like, I like Bashar and I like Walz. Those are my guys. Walz is the pick.
And you trash that place. Come on, that's not who Wisconsin is.
Labor was such a formative part of the decision-making process that Mark Kelly was knocked out due to him being in opposition to the PRO Act, and he thought he could fix that by saying, "Oh, if the PRO Act came in front of me today, I would vote for it." Okay, Mark Kelly literally got clapped because of his opposition to the PRO Act.
Look, I've done this enough, and I know bullies, and I'm not a name caller, but what I am as a teacher, I observe things. So I want to tell you what I observed, and you've observed about these guys when you see them, that it's a very clear thing. Yes, they are creepy and weird as hell. You see it. You see it. This is not normal. This is not normal behavior. Nobody's asking for this crazy
Would you
stuff.
say it's an olive branch
So
of the
I'll tell
Bernie
you what.
Bros? No,
You
it's
heard
not
it
an olive
from
branch of the
the
Bernie
Vice
Bros.
President.
They're
The
just...
hell. We're not
It's
going
not an
back.
olive branch of the Bernie Bros
We
at
are
all.
not
It's
going
just the
back.
Democratic Party is like
We are not going
looking
back.
for, in a post-Trump world, they're looking for like a new way to campaign, I think. And it has become impossible to avoid certain aspects of American politics.
We damn sure aren't, but it's even more than that. This is a campaign about where we're going, and that's a future where everyone matters and everyone's included. Kamala Harris, she believes in the freedom to make your own choices. She believes in opportunity for every single person to join the middle class.
Has Hasanabi commented on Ukraine's recent special military operation into Kursk Oblast? No. Why the f would I be talking about that right now, chatter? This is insane. I just started. It's been an hour, and we immediately locked into a Tim Walz rally. Okay? That's crazy. You should be focusing on the fact that I forgot to run the 3-minute ad break after saying I was going to run it at the top of the hour, so I'm now running it in the middle of the hour instead. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. I mean, this is pretty fire intro, too. Beyonce gave the clearance for this song to be used. It's pretty sick. Oh my God, liberals, bro. Liberals, bro. Just keep that in the drafts.
Wisconsin. Good afternoon. Oh, it's good to be back. Good afternoon, everybody. Can we hear it for Tim Walz? Oh, I'm so happy to be running with him, let me tell you. So let me start by thanking
Yeah.
Les, your voice.
She's like, how the f did
Les,
we
thank
lock
you
into
for
this?
everything you are
I
and
mean,
everything you do for
if there is a person, okay, I gotta say something here, okay? If there's a person that has the mandate of heaven, it's not Donald Trump. It's Kamala Harris. Think about it, okay? Unsuccessful politician, literally dropped out, had no shot at even winning her own state, California, okay, ran on a relatively progressive campaign when there were significantly more interesting progressive, more dynamic progressive candidates, okay, literally got chosen by Biden specifically because she was like inoffensive and kind of boring and would never outshine Biden, while also simultaneously they could say like, look how progressive we are, right? That's what Biden literally said, okay? Then Biden has to drop out, so now she's the only person. Boom. All of a sudden, she's at the top of the ticket. Then she gets a literal, almost once in a lifetime VP pick with no genuine ambition for running for higher office, okay? With an unimaginable background, like built in a lab, okay? So organically perfect for the Midwest. And now she has an insanely solid ticket here, okay? This is her race to fuck up. That's why I'm saying, like, this is some Selena Meyer shit. She's just like stumbling her way upwards. I don't think she stumbled into it. Things did line up though. What are you talking about? Nancy Pelosi carried half of this conversation behind closed doors. It's not like she is like this vicious shark or anything. It was Nancy Pelosi that was like, Biden, you got to get the fuck out. Once again, guys, mandate of heaven, hear me out. Biden and his team wanted to have a debate in June, an uncharacteristically, unceremoniously early debate. Why did they want to do that? Because they were like, oh, we have to just show that our guy can just be normal and is not dead in front of 50 million Americans. They failed it so spectacularly on that debate that 50 million Americans that tuned in were like, oh my God, the president is a carcass. Think about that. Think about that. Normally, you don't have a presidential debate this early. Biden's campaign fucked that shit up. They had the debate early. Mandate of heaven, boys. I'm telling you.
Tim is more than a governor. To his wife, Gwen, he is a husband. To his kids, Hope and Gus, he is dad. To his fellow veterans, he is Sergeant Major Walz. To the people of southern Minnesota for 12 years, he was a congressman. To his former high school students, he was Mr. Walz. And to his former high school football players, he was coach. Coach.
Anyway, this is bar for bar verbatim going to be the same exact speech that we listened to yesterday. So it's like not super interesting in my opinion. If there's any highlights, if there's any high notes, we can, we can look at that. The difference is, I think it was Walz that came after, and it's hard to follow Walz. Walz is gonna be organic. He's not gonna read that much of the teleprompter. Whereas like Kamala's going to stick to it and she's going to hit the same notes over and over again.
I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And with your help, we will win in November.
Vance gets a softball and charges the mound.
We are going to win. And I've been here many times, as you all know, recently and even before. And many of you know then, before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was an elected attorney general, and before that, an elected district attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, scammers who broke the rules for personal gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. I know his type. In fact, I've been dealing with people like him my whole career. For example, as Attorney General of California, well, hold on, you know what? The courts are going to handle that part of it. What we're going to do is beat him in November.
Good. That's okay. Wrist points. Quick on the feet. Not bad.
So
That was very Obama style.
On one of our country's largest for-profit colleges that scammed
Plus one.
students. Well, Donald
Plus
Trump
one
ran
Riz.
a for-profit college that scammed students. As a prosecutor, I specialized in cases of sexual abuse. Well,
There's a lot of advanced moments from that rally we're gonna get to in a second.
As Attorney General, I held the big Wall Street banks accountable for fraud. Well, Donald Trump was just found guilty of fraud. 34 counts. So in this campaign, I'll tell you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week. Any day of the week. But let's make no mistake, this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. It's about two very different visions for our nation. Two very different visions. One, for us, focused on the future. The other, focused on the past. And Wisconsin, we fight for the future. We fight for a future where every worker has the freedom to join a union. Union strong.
You don't preach on voting any president because all of the American presidents are shit.
We fight for a future where every senior can retire
Bro,
with
I'm
dignity.
sorry. This is what dreams are made of. I never thought, and hats off, props to Brandon for kind of carrying the torch on this shit, but I never would have imagined the Democrats being so actively, so openly on Maine, being pro-union and legitimately getting their flowers from the unions too. And I don't just mean unions that have always historically defended the Democratic Party because it's like the less shitty option, but just very openly talking about what they're going to do for labor.
Because we know that while fighting for a brighter future may be hard work.
When are you endorsing
hard
this
work is
ticket?
good.
I mean, when I see some momentum on Gaza.
So we will continue to fight for affordable housing, for affordable health care,
If I don't see momentum on Gaza,
childcare, and paid leave.
Bro, if they change the course on Gaza, I won't even endorse. I will door knock. I've said it already. I said this before. I will get a tour bus and I will go to every goddamn state. I'll hold events, all out of pocket, all on my own. Okay? I will go, I will door knock. I will try to make sure that I get every goddamn American on board. If they change course on Gaza, okay? If they say things like, hey, no more weapons transfers, what the fuck's going on? You keep sullying your own dang ceasefire deal, okay? Straight up. I would literally go to every state. I would go to every state. I would do rallies. I would door knock. I would get every single one of the Hasanabi heads activated to go and door knock in their own districts. Straight up.
To bring manufacturing jobs back to America. And back to communities like Eau Claire.
But wasn't foreign policy not in the interest of the voter? Well, it's in the interest of this voter, okay? Not just a voter, but also a person with, a decent amount of political labor organizers in his community. So, yeah, no, it's in my interest. I think that genocide is unconscionable. I also don't think it's a good idea to go down this suicide pact with Israel for no reason. That's my prize, dude.
And as we work to move our nation forward, Donald Trump intends to take our nation backward. There is so much evidence of that point. There really is. But look at most recently, Project 2025 in that agenda. Project 2025, if you have some time to take a look at it, I'm telling you, it is a plan to weaken the middle class. It is a plan to weaken the middle class. If he is elected, Donald Trump intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations. He intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and he intends to end the Affordable
What do you
Care
say
Act.
to people who bitch at you and call you a single issue voter? I say to them, listen, if you think I got juice like that, if you think I got motion like that, start either A, smiling and dialing to overcome that boost, okay, to overcome that burden, or smile and dial in the opposite direction and get the Democrats to change course on this issue, okay? If you think I'm that powerful, then, you know, bend the goddamn knee. So here's the other thing. I do not disparage anyone who is very excited about this ticket, okay? I totally understand where people are coming from. I totally get it. But I also don't disparage anyone who says, nah, what the f? Nothing has changed on Gaza so far. Why would I change my attitude? Like, I still maintain the position that politicians are supposed to earn your vote. I like a lot of the things that they're doing now because they are trying to actively earn the vote, okay? They're not doing the classic Democratic Party gaslighting on many issues. They're not doing the classic Democratic Party gaslighting of like, vote for us or you're going to die, sweetie. They're not doing that shit. They're actually actively talking about what their platform is. They're actually actively talking about what they want to do for the future, that they have a vision for what is to come, you know? Do what we want to do. But I'm not going to sit here and disparage you if you're like, I mean, I will make fun of you if you're like, I'm going to vote for Trump over the Democrats because of Gaza. Then you're an idiot, okay? I don't care. You could be a Muslim family member in Dearborn with like family members in Gaza. I will tell you straight up, that's dumb as okay? Sorry. And it's not just a take that I've heard from Arab Americans with family members in Gaza. I have literally, I talk to people literally in Gaza, okay? I talk to people in Gaza as well. And that is like a legitimate thing that they have thought about too.
Laws and an assault weapons
It's crazy to hear, but that is something that people think. Like Palestinians also are like, well, we weren't getting ruthlessly slaughtered under Trump. That's like a thing that I've heard. It sounds insane to say it out loud, but that's how powerful it is when you are overseeing this death and destruction.
Members of the United States Supreme Court, the court of Thurgood and RBG, because he intended for them to overturn Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did.
No, I'm not calling PSL and Green voters the equivalent of Republican voters. What are you talking about? No.
20 states in our country have a Trump abortion ban, many with no exceptions even for rape and incest. And if he wins, we all know he will sign a national abortion ban to outlaw abortion in every state, even in Wisconsin. But we are not going to let that happen because we trust women. And when I am president of the United States and when Congress passes a bill to restore the protections of Roe v. Wade, I will sign it into law. Thank you all. So listen. Everyone took time out of your busy lives and days and all your obligations to come out here and to be together as one community. And I know you did it also because we all know, listen, so much is on the line in this election. It can't be said seriously enough. So much is on the line. And compounded with everything else that we knew was on the line, think about the fact that last month, the United States Supreme Court basically told the former president, who has been convicted of fraud, that going forward, he will be immune no matter what he does in the White House. Think about what that means and the changed circumstances since 16/6/20 when you think about what that court decision means. Donald Trump has openly vowed if reelected, he will be a dictator on day one. that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, that he would round up peaceful protesters and throw them out of our country, and even, quote, terminate the United States Constitution. So let us be clear. Let us be clear. Someone who suggests we should terminate the Constitution of the United States should never again have a chance to stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. So basically, I think it all comes down to this. We're all here because we love our country. We love our country. We love our country. And I do believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. And that's how we preserve the promise of America. Because after all, the promise of America is what makes it possible, by the way, for Governor Walz and me to stand on this stage today. Just think about it. Two middle-class kids, one a daughter of Oakland, California, who was raised by a working mother and had a summer job at McDonald's. The other, a son of the Nebraska Plains who grew up
Bro,
working
you
on a
gotta
farm.
remember, like, the
Think
Clinton
about
comparisons are so hollow here because she doesn't have 30 years of opposition research and conspiracies mounted against her due to her husband and due to her time in positions of power. There is no, like, Clinton is a uniquely bad, Hillary Clinton especially, is a uniquely bad candidate for that reason. And a lot of the shit that she got was so valid too. Some of which was insane, right? Like they would call her like a vampire or whatever. And with all sincerity, they would do that. They were like, oh, she's a blood-sucking vampire or whatever, who has like a long-ass assassination list or whatever. But like some of that shit was correct.
And when elected, we will govern on behalf of all Americans.
Also, this is the same speech as yesterday. I don't know why people are yelling at me.
Because Coach Walz and I know, and we're clear about this, unlike the other side. We work for you. We work for you, the American people, and we will always fight for you, for your family, for your freedoms, and for your future. So, Wisconsin, ultimately, this election is about a question that we each face. We each face a question in this election, and that is, what kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a country of
Zox,
freedom,
thank you for the 10 gifted.
of compassion, of rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear, and hate? And the beauty of our democracy is we each have the power individually and collectively. We each have.
Haven't all administrations done genocide or pseudo-genocide or other unconscionable things? We're talking about a mountain of atrocities. Why would you vote for Hillary and not Kamala when you factor in all those other atrocities? Even if they stop the Gaza genocide, there's a billion other foreign policy things we do right. You mean like a billion other foreign policy things we do and then comma right? You're not saying that we do right things in terms of foreign policy. You're saying like why Gaza and why not the rest of it? Because it's deeply personalized. It's happening right now. And the reality of the matter is that it is a firm commitment, perhaps a naive, but yet still firm commitment to the understanding that Americans still want to maintain that our voices matter. That's what this is about. Okay? That's what this is about. It's actually not the people who are anti-electoral politics that are drawing a line in the sand. It's those who are invested in the idea that we are not just a theoretical democracy, but a real one. You understand what I'm saying here? It's people who still have a firm commitment to the notion that like politicians are supposed to respond to your pressure. And a bunch of the stuff that they've done so far in the Democratic Party is responding to that pressure. And it's been objectively good, which is why I say I'm happy with the Tim Walz decision. You know what I mean? I'm happy with the fact that they swapped out Biden.
And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Like, this is an ongoing active situation. What's going on in Gaza is an ongoing active situation, and it's such an easy fix. That's what makes it so unconscionable. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the fact that this is an incredibly easy solution and all it takes is one phone call makes it even worse, in my opinion. The atrocities in scale are unimaginable, and the solution to it is so simple. Okay? All of that bloodshed, everything could stop with a 10-minute phone call. 10 minutes. That's all it takes. And that's what's very frustrating about it. You think Israel will stop a genocide just because we don't give them weapons? Yeah, dude, I know. Israel's so strong. Israel's so strong. Israel lion. Israel giant. Yes, dude. Israel knows it would be wiped off the planet in a way akin to how Genghis Khan literally would reorient rivers over entire villages if America wasn't up Israel's asshole on a daily basis, defending them every step of the way. Are you kidding me? Get the fuck out of here, dude. Israel as a nation state does not exist without unconditional Western support, okay? Israel as a violent apartheid regime does not exist. Genghis Khan is how you say it, you idiots. Shut up. Making fun of me. Dumbass one language Andes in the chat. The notion that Israel is super strong and can do all of this on their own is so laughable. It's hysterical, okay? You are delusional. You are as delusional as like a member of the Jewish power party if you think that that is real, okay? Israel has run out of offensive weapons that they're deploying multiple times throughout this process. If it wasn't for America constantly offering a steady flow of re-upping their armaments, re-upping their ammunition, they would not be able to do half of the atrocities that they've committed in Gaza. You understand that? There's also the defensive posture side of this as well. Couldn't Israel just get weapons from somewhere else? Who? Who's got the same runway? What are you talking about? Do you think Germany? We're talking about the UK cutting off weapon shipments right now. What are you talking about? Russia? Yeah, dude, Russia, sure. Russia has been aligned with Israel in other instances. But right now, Russia is in active conflict in Ukraine. You think they have enough runway to offer weapons to Israel? What are you, delusional? They're literally also potentially giving arms to Iran because they see this as an opportunity to harm America's global hegemonic power status. No, there is no world in which Israel continues its atrocities without unconditional support from the United States of America. Okay? Russia itself is currently desperate for both ammunition and also other weapons as well. No shot. Yeah, this is the funniest part of this equation. It's like, oh yeah, dude, you're crazy. Who supplies the most arms to Israel? What would they do without unconditional U.S. support? And also, look no further than history. Many different instances where America has made a phone call. Joe Biden himself made a phone call in 2021. Joe Biden himself made a phone call in 2021 and said, cut it out. Next day, it was over. Next day. You're out of your dang mind. Germany doesn't have enough weapons to supply Israel with steady arms either. Anyway, y'all are crazy. One phone call is all it takes. Benjamin Netanyahu needs to be reminded that we are the daddy in this situation. He's gone far too long, grown far too comfortable in his own mania to think that this is like he can do whatever the fuck he wants. What about China? Nope, no way. No shot. No shot. If anything, China and Russia are more likely to arm the resistance, which, they won't do officially and openly, but they're more likely to arm the resistance than they're to arm Israel. Why would they help Israel, dude? Israel and all of its enemies, okay, all made up or all Israel created for the most part, is not just a battle between like Israel versus people who can't fight back. This is a battle between Western alliance and the global South. It's a never-ending battle of causing irreparable harm to America's soft power around the world. That's it. I think you can understand why we're having such trouble believing that the U.S. can stop this genocide right now if they feel like it. I'm sure what you're saying makes sense, but it's difficult to believe. You're making it sound obviously true. Okay, but it has happened. Ronald Reagan has stopped it. Joe Biden himself stopped it 3 years ago. So with one phone call, okay? With one phone call, one perfect phone call, the same length as a top of the hour ad break, 3 minutes, okay? And it's done. Anyway, Indian chatters won't see the 3-minute ad break because there is no ads being served in India, but here's the top of the hour ad break regardless. All right. There's a lot to talk about. Okay, we'll get back to the Palestine stuff in a second. And again, if Kamala doesn't get a ceasefire, she will lose because Netanyahu will escalate days before the election to swing it to Trump. Oh, for sure. Biden tells Israel's Netanyahu, U.S. expects a significant de-escalation today in Gaza. I believe it was this phone call and is stopped the next day. Hasan, that was a racist Brit, not a pro-Israel Indian dude. Hasan, does Israel have the ability to make a strike against the USA? What? No. What are you saying? No, dude. So why hasn't he done it now if he wanted to in the past? I don't know. Demented, psychotic, rabid Zionist freak, personal commitment and like permanent loyalty to Zionist causes beyond like the average American, beyond the average American politician. He's been a freak his whole life in terms of Israel. So anyway, let's continue. So JD Vance also held a rally today. One thing I want to talk about. In the 24 hours since Kamala Harris asked Tim Walz to join the ticket, her campaign raised $36 million from 500,000 donors, more than 1/3 giving for the first time. The top profession of donors were teachers. Okay? I'm afraid Gaza is a non-issue now. Can't stop the Wall Street. Yep, it's not for me. Not a non-issue for me. Certainly is still a very real issue. They're going to do a Detroit rally. They're going to do a Detroit, Michigan rally tomorrow. You think that people won't show up to that with demands? They will, and they should. Okay? The Kamala ticket has shown that they respond to popular pressure from the base of support. This is a very important opportunity for Michigan to show up and say, look, you got to give us real assurances. Or, wait, it's tonight, actually. Sorry, it's not even tomorrow. It's tonight. The Detroit rally is today. Bigger issues in America, in my opinion. For many people, there isn't a bigger issue. And I totally understand that. Okay? I get it. I respect it. I'm in Michigan, and tonight Detroit's going to be stupid insane. 50,000 people RSVP to the event, including 88% of the UAW people in Detroit. They have to move the event to the airport to have enough room. Unions, locals are treating it like a whole party night. Yeah, I will be live at that point, yes. Anyway, Kaya, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get back on there, little lady. Sneaking out. Good girl. Anyway, so you have this massive line. In contrast, here is JD Vance. He held a rally in Shelby Township today, okay, in front of the Shelby Township Police Department. How many people in the audience who are not media covering the event? Pretty much zero, okay? It's all just media, basically just a press conference. And JD Vance has had a couple moments where he is flubbed massively in some of his media opportunities. Let's take a look at one of them.
We've heard a lot from Democrats using the word weird, calling you weird, calling former President Trump weird. What do you make of that weird argument?
I think that the weird argument honestly came from a bunch of 24-year-old social media interns who were bullied in school, and they decided they're going to project that onto the entire Trump campaign. And the reason it doesn't make sense is because you ask who's weird, right? I think it's pretty weird to be the border czar and to open up the border and allow fentanyl to come into your community. I think it's pretty weird to try to take children away from their parents.
Yeah, I'm not weird, you're weird. Okay, but like, don't you realize that if you think that that argument is silly, if you think the weird argument is silly and made up by like social media interns who are 24 years old, then why are you using the argument? No, you is not effective, especially when you double down on being a weirdo, okay?
If the parents don't want to consent to sex changes. That's something that Tim Walz did. I think it's pretty weird to want to defund the police. I think it's pretty weird to pretend that you're a tough on crime prosecutor, even though you pursued the policies that made San Francisco such a disaster when it comes to crime and public safety. So if they
This is why I hated the crime panic narratives that the Democrats leaned on. This is why I hated the trans panic narratives that Democrats leaned on. They will use that shit against you every goddamn day of the week. Okay? You're a dummy. And this is precisely the reason why I hate when they also allowed the entire nation to be swept away with right-wing panic born out of complete hysteria, out of complete nonsense on immigrants invading the country. Okay? Unacceptable. They will always use that shit against you. One should ask, what's going on in San Francisco? You think it's on fire? Look around. The fuck do you mean, dude? Crime is down across the board in every goddamn township in this country. The fuck are you talking about? What do you mean? Immigrants are a genuine problem. They're doing crime. Crime is down. Immigration is up. How do you square that circle? Crime is down. Immigration is up. If you look at the actual data, undocumented migrants are responsible for less crime than documented natural-born U.S. citizens. Significantly less crime, as a matter of fact. You talk about undocumented migrants doing horrific crimes of murder. This doesn't mean that there aren't any murders committed by undocumented migrants. Of course, there are human beings. Some are good, some are bad. Some are victims of their own circumstance. Okay? 23 murders have occurred. 23 murders have occurred by undocumented migrants in 2024. If you ask the Republicans, Donald Trump keeps saying 100,000 Americans were murdered by the migrants. 100,000 Americans are murdered by migrants every year is what he says. 23 is the real number. Why are we not having a real conversation about this? You can say whatever you want. And if the other side doesn't actually turn around and correct the record, if they don't counter message, then people get captivated by that narrative. Hundreds of thousands, they say. 23 is the real number of migrant homicides. Okay? 23 in 2024. I think it was 26 in 2023. Now, the real reason why they say hundreds of thousands is because they play fast and loose with other data. They say it's the fentanyl crisis that is killing all these people. Okay, who's prosecuting the real villains of the fentanyl crisis? This guy worked with Purdue, okay? He's worked with the Sackler family. He's backed by Silicon Valley tech demons, okay? The idea that, like, it's actually Guatemalan migrants, like, carrying fentanyl in their butthole over the border is so stupid, and it's not the reality. Think. The reality is 90% of drugs being trafficked over the border are apprehended at regular border crossings, okay? Regular points of entry. And 90+% of those who are caught are American citizens. Think. Why the f would you actually try to sneak drugs over, metric tons of fentanyl and chemical compounds necessary to make drugs, in the butt cheeks of a migrant, when you could just chop up a car and put it in there and have a white American dude drive it over the border? Which one has less scrutiny? Which one is more consistently going to allow you to traffic product? Think. Sounds familiar? Where have I heard this before? I don't know.
Talking about the fact that, I'll give you another fact. Democrats should constantly be talking about the fact that there is no readily available empirical data to suggest that immigrants are doing more crime. As a matter of fact, the only available empirical data shows the exact opposite of that reality. So it's a pure Republican hysteria, Republican panic, and it's really racist panic. One other thing I will tell you is this. Donald Trump talks about immigrants are responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths every year. That's what he says. He says that at his rallies. He says that as the RNC. I've never heard from a Democrat be like, yo, hold on. What are we talking about here? That seems like a big old deal. I've never heard a Democrat go, that seems insane to say. Let's take a look at the data. Well, I did look at the data. Customs and Border Patrol data shows. Do you want to know how many murders undocumented migrants committed? I'll tell you what it is. I looked at the data. 23. So that means, and we've definitely heard 23 horrific, gruesome things that an undocumented citizen has done in this country. So that means that every single instance of a murder committed by an undocumented migrant was heavily publicized in this country in an effort to make you think like they're doing crimes every day. This doesn't mean that like undocumented migrants are responsible for zero crimes. Of course not. Everyone, they're human beings. Some human beings are going to do good things. Some human beings are going to do bad things. We're all a victim of our own circumstance. But you have to look at, like, if this is how to deal with crime, you have to look at the entire group of people and see if they're responsible for an overwhelming share of the crime. And it turns out they're responsible for less crime. It's actually insane that we have this conversation.
Bro, you were spitting here. How did you do this on the side of a b-ball court? I'm ready at any given moment, any time of the day, baby.
I'll give you another.
What? Not immigrants, illegal immigrants? Yeah, this is false, but okay. Not immigrants, illegal immigrants. They are two separate categories that the left refused to acknowledge. No, I'm using undocumented migrants. That's the number. Not documented migrants, undocumented migrants. Okay?
Another fact. Democrats should.
I like that. The only counter to that is la 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 la. I can't hear you. Shut the fuck up. You're gay. That's the only thing they got. You put the data in front of their face. They go, I don't want to believe you. Read the replies of this is false. I can find a source. If you can find one to support yours, yeah, your account name tells me all I need to know about you. Oh my God, dude. Conservatives are too stupid, bro. They are too stupid to deal with. They're so stupid. It's like every single time when I was talking about gifts versus donations, there were so many goddamn Trump supporters in my replies being like, oh, that's a gift. It's not a donation. It's like, dude, it's a first-time contribution in a literal campaign event. That is a donation, okay? The FEC looks at that as though it is a donation. It's not the same as like Donald Trump's children giving them a gift on Donald Trump's birthday. Obviously, context matters in this situation. And people were literally posting information that basically reiterated my position from the FEC website or Wikipedia pages. Dude literally said you're wrong and provided support that he's wrong. Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to call me weird. Look, I've got my wife here. I've got 3 beautiful kids at home. I'm a normal guy who wants to live the American dream and wants all of you and your kids to be able to live the American dream. That's why I'm in it. If those people want to call me weird, I think it's a badge of honor.